Fougasse is undeniably the most original of all the adjuncts of coastal defense introduced by the Hospitaller Knights in the Maltese islands. In essence, the Fougasse was a mortar carved out of solid rock designed to fire stone projectiles onto enemy ships approaching the shore. Technically speaking, it is best described as a Fougasse pieria, or Fougasse arcelci, a stone-throwing Fougasse. For rather than being simply an explosive mine, which was what a typical Fougasse was meant to be, the Maltese version used the explosive force to propel projectiles at an enemy target hundreds of meters away. It was designed and perfected for a coastal defense role by the Order's resident military engineer, Francesco Marandorn. The first prototype was built in 1740, after an earlier failed attempt in 1715. The Order's records show that Fougasses were still being constructed in 1749. Structurally, the Fougasse consisted of a conical, rock-hewn shaft with a small firing chamber at the bottom end, cut into the ground at an angle of 45 degrees. A wooden barrel filled with gunpowder was placed inside the firing chamber. This was attached to a long cord-like fuse, passed through a narrow channel cut in the wall of the Fougasse. The gunpowder barrel was then sealed shut with a circular wooden lid, known as a mortar. The shaft was then filled with a large mass of stun projectiles, and once this operation was completed, the Fougasse was ready to be fired on vessels entering into its fixed field of fire. Generally, each bay was defended by two Fougasses, so located so as to create a deadly field of fire. However, the larger bays, such as Melilla and Salina, are known to have had as many as 8 or 4 Fougasses. The Fougasse used about 100 pounds of gunpowder to propel some 3 tons of stun projectiles over a distance of about 100 meters to cover an area as large as a football ground. Enemy vessels caught within its field of fire would have been showered with a deadly hail of projectiles. In all, the total number of Fougasses built in the Maltese islands was 64. In other words, 50 in Malta and 14 in Gozo. Of these, only 12 examples have been identified to date. 7 of these are to be found in Malta, including the first prototype Fougasse, which was built in Malta in 1740. Historians have also identified various references in the records to the location of other Fougasses which have disappeared over the passage of time. One such example was the Fougasse at Gillian, near Benissa, which is shown on a period plan of the fortifications of Marsashloke Bay. There is also a well-documented reference to the Fougasses in St. Julian's and St. George's Bays, which were fired experimentally by the British military in 1801. Even so, this still leaves a large balance of Fougasses which are still unaccounted for. Hopefully, these will eventually be rediscovered in the future.
For further reading, please go to militaryarchitecture.com. Militaryarchitecture.com is a non-profit making and educational initiative aimed at disseminating an appreciation and understanding of the art and science of military architecture and fortress building.